Good morning everyone. My name is Yadla Vishwa. We will discuss about arrays in Java. We are going to understand what is array, why we need to go for arrays, how to create an array, how to initialize an array, how to traverse array, and how many types of arrays are available in Java. First, let's understand the introduction part. In any programming language, variables are used to store data. If you want to store a single value, we use a single variable like int a is equal to 10. For multiple values, you would typically need multiple variables. For instance, if you want to store 10,000 values, writing 10,000 variables inside program is impractical and not good programming practice as it decreases the readability of the program. This is where arrays comes into play. Now, what is an array? An array is a reference data type used to store multiple values. Arrays store data based on indexes. For example, you can store 10 values in a single variable using an array. An array maintains the data based on indexes starting from 0. We can define an array as a container that holds a collection of elements of the same data type. For instance, to store integer values, we create an integer array. To store decimal values, we create a float or double array. To store string values, we create a string array. An array is a container that stores a collection of elements of the same type. If you need to store 10,000 values, you don't need 10,000 variables. You can create one array to store all the values. Using multiple variables to store many values can reduce the readability of the program. Arrays help by storing multiple values in a single variable. This improves program readability and efficiency. For example, an integer array of size 4 can store 4 integer values. Instead of creating 4 separate variables, we can create one array with 4 elements. To create an array in Java, we need to follow the syntax. Like array declaration, we need to specify the data type followed by square bracket to indicate an array. And for array creation, we use new keyword to create an array with a specified size. And with combined declaration and creation, we use data type, variable name, and new data type with the size. As an example, we can see int arr is equal to new int size of 4. Here, int represents the data type, arr is the name of the array, new is the keyword used to create the array object, and 4 is the size of the array. The array will have indices starting from 0 to 3, as we can see in the boxes. Let's see an example. Let's break down the Java program step by step. Now we can see public class array demo. The array demo class is declared as public, meaning it can be accessed from outside its package. This class contains the main method, which is the entry point for Java application. Now, public static void main string args, the main method is where the program execution begins. It is declared as public, so it can be called by the Java runtime environment. Static means it can be called without creating an instance of the class. Void indicates that it doesn't return any value. String args is an array of strings that can store command line arguments. Now int arr, new int 3, an integer array named arr is declared and initialized to hold 3 elements. The new int of size 3 part creates an array object in memory that can store 3 integer values. Each element of the array is assigned a value, like arr of 0 is equal to 100, which assigns the value of 100 to the first element of the array. The value 101, 101 to the second element of the array, 102 in the same way, 102 is assigned to the third element of the array. Now how do we print array values? We need to use system.out.println statement, which is used to print the array values of the array elements to the console. Now we can see array values, which prints the heading, and now as we can see system.out.println ARR of 0 prints the value of the first element. In the same way, second element 10101, third element 102 will be printed. To summarize, the program demonstrates how to create, initialize and access elements of an array in Java. It declares an integer array of size 3. It assigns value to each element of the array. It prints out the value of each element. Now, here we are creating array in two ways. In the approach one, we are trying to initialize the array based on the index. Here, storing 3 names instead of doing like that, we can go for approach 2. In a single line, we are able to create the array and we are able to initialize it. So approach 1 and approach 2 both are same. In the approach 1, we are first creating, then we are initializing. In the approach 2, at the time of the creation only, we are initializing the value directly. Both arrays are having size as 3. Now, how to traverse an array? We can traverse an array to access or to modify its elements. Let's say different ways to traverse an array. Now, if I store the value into array, then how to traverse the array? How to access all the values of the array? Suppose if the array is having 100 values, how can we traverse that array? How can we retrieve the data from the array? We can retrieve the data from the array in multiple ways, right, by using for loop. We can access the elements from the array by using for each loop. We can access the data from the array. And in the Java 1.8, streams concept was introduced. By using the stream, also we can access the data from the array. Let us see that programmatically. So here I am taking one array string names. It is a string array. I have stored 3 names. In the approach 1, I am taking integer I is equal to 0. Loop will start from 0 index. I less than names dot length. Here length is your property which will give us the size of the array. Array size is 3. It will give names to length as 3 I++. So here I am writing system.out.print of names of I. First time I value will be 0. It will give Sachin as output. Then I value will be incremented. Names of one Ganguly will be printed as the output. I value will be incremented. Names of the second element Sehwag will be the output. After that, when the value is incremented, the condition is going to fail. So it will come out of the loop. By using this for loop, we can print array elements in the forward direction. Similarly, we can go for each loop. Also string name, column name, names in an array. From this names array, take each name and store into name variable and print it this way for each loop. Approach 2, as we can see, we are using the third approach, which is streams. Stream of names. Names is my array. I am passing array as a input to create this stream. For each method name by using lambda expression, I am printing that name like this. You can traverse the array in multiple ways for loop, for each loop and by using string. Similarly, we can traverse the array in the reverse order. Yes, we can traverse the array in the reverse order also. Whenever we are traversing here, I am starting the index from 0. If I want to traverse the array in the reverse order, I need to start the index from here to here. So this for loop is printing the array from left to right direction. I want to print array data in the backward direction. How can we print array that in the backward direction? By using this for loop, we can print in the backward direction. Also, let us see how we can print in the reverse order. Simple. We need to take care of the loop for integer I is equal to, I don't want to give 0. If I give 0, 0 will represent the first index. I want to represent the last index. How to find out the last index of the array? Array dot length. Length will give the size. Size is 3, but last index is size -1, so names do, length -1, it will give the last index of the array, then I greater than or equal to 0, then I minus minus. I'm initializing the I value as the last index of the array, and for every iteration, I'm decreasing the I value. I'm decrementing that how many times I want to execute it. If I value greater than or equal to 0, then my loop should execute it. I value becomes a negative number. I don't want to execute it because the last value will become 0 index. There are two types of arrays in Java. Single dimensional array. This represents a single row of elements. Multi-dimensional array represents data in the form of rows and columns. If you want to represent the data in the form of rows and columns, then we can go for multiple dimensional arrays. So let us see how to create multi-dimensional arrays. Now we can create multi-dimensional array. As we can see, row size and column size, we can represent 0 of 0, 0 of 1, 1 of 0, and 1 of 1. So here it will represent the row and column index. I'm trying to initialize this multi-dimensional array. Then I'm trying to iterate the array elements first time when I use the ARR. ARR is the multi-dimensional array. Multi-dimensional array is nothing but a combination of arrays. Sub-arrays will be available when I traverse first time and getting some sub-arrays. When I traverse that sub-array, I'm going to get the actual value. So this is used to store the data into a multi-dimensional array. And here I'm printing the data from multi-dimensional array. So like this, we are able to store the data and we are able to access the data. Remember that row size and column size, whenever you are storing the data, you need to keep the row size and column size properly. In this example, multi-dimensional array is a 2x2 array. We store values in the array and traverse it to print values. Today we have covered the basics of arrays in Java, including their definition, creation, initialization, traversal, and the types of arrays. Arrays are a fundamental data structure that allows efficient storage and manipulation of multiple values. Understanding arrays is essential for writing effective and efficient Java programs. Thank you for the attention.